Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, reaching for your phone like you always do, and realizing the internet is just gone. Not just a spotty connection, not just your router acting up, but completely disappeared. A total global blackout. For the next 24 hours, the whole world is offline. What actually happens next? Does society just take a deep breath, or does the chaos literally start on minute one? Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to walk through this exact high-stakes thought experiment.
Okay, let's dive straight into this dark new reality, because it hits you immediately. No WhatsApp to text your group chats, no YouTube for your morning watch, no Google to answer whatever random question pops into your head, and much more seriously, no online banking to check your accounts or even just pay for your morning coffee. We're suddenly plunged into a complete, utter disconnect.
Section 1. The initial blackout.
So, walking through the timeline of that very first hour, the signs of trouble appear almost instantly. At minute 1, you're probably swiping down to refresh your messages or your feeds, and absolutely nothing loads. By minute 30, millions of us are just assuming it's a temporary, localized thing. You go reset the router, right? But as we hit minute 60, word of mouth actually starts spreading. People realize it's not just their house, it's not just their city, it's literally everywhere. And that's exactly when the mild annoyance snowballs into a genuine worldwide panic.
Moving right along to Section 2, the systemic freeze.
Let's see how this builds, because we're talking about a sheer, instantaneous collapse of how humanity actually talks to itself. Messaging apps, gone. Emails, stop dead in their tracks. Video calls and social media platforms are completely offline. Families suddenly can't check in on each other. Businesses have their internal comms entirely severed. Even governments would find themselves totally struggling to communicate quickly. The volume of human interaction lost in this single moment is just staggering to think about.
Now, what's absolutely wild here is how rapidly this crisis jumps from our personal lives straight into the absolute highest levels of the global economy. At the personal level, digital wallets and online banking just freeze up. You literally cannot buy groceries if you don't have cash in your pocket. Then, at the corporate level, businesses relying on the cloud are instantly paralyzed. And on a global scale, stock markets and major financial institutions are hit with massive, crippling roadblocks. The money just stops moving entirely.
Which brings us to Section 3. Physical world paralysis.
So, a purely digital outage immediately halts physical movement in the real world. Airlines rely heavily on internet-connected systems to route flights and manage passengers. Global shipping companies need it for logistics. Your ride-hailing apps are completely useless, and delivery services are entirely grounded. We're looking at a massive, immediate gridlock across the entire globe. You can't fly, your packages stop moving, and you couldn't even call a car to get across town.
Now, to be fair, it's true that a lot of these critical systems do have analog backups or emergency contingency plans. So the crucial point to remember here is that planes aren't necessarily going to just fall out of the sky, but severe, cascading delays are still completely unavoidable, everywhere. Even running on those backups, the gears of the modern world would grind to an agonizingly slow pace.
Moving over to Section 4, the personal and global cost.
Let's zoom back in on the personal side of things for a second. All our modern digital comforts just vanish. No YouTube, no Netflix, no online gaming, and definitely no endless scrolling. Billions of people instantly lose their absolute favorite forms of entertainment. Instead, we're suddenly left with the sheer, unadulterated horror of having to actually read a physical book, maybe go outside, or brace yourselves, spend uninterrupted time actually talking to our families. Honestly, it's kind of a funny thought, but the real psychological shock to a society so addicted to that digital dopamine hit would be pretty profound.
Which leads right into Section 5, the economic impact.
Billions. Just let that sink in for a second. A single, worldwide internet outage would cause billions of dollars in hard losses. Online stores wouldn't make a single sale, advertisers wouldn't serve a single ad, service providers and businesses of literally every size would be utterly paralyzed. That is the immense, very real dollar loss of just one single offline day.
And what this brilliantly illustrates is how these losses don't just add up, they literally multiply. The initial shock of the morning compounds into this massive midday chaos as supply chains completely break down and uncompleted trades just pile up. By the 24-hour mark, that economic damage has grown exponentially. Basically, the longer the outage lasts, the deeper and more permanent the financial scarring becomes.
Finally, Section 6, the aftermath.
So after a full day in the dark, the internet finally returns. Servers boot back up, a tidal wave of delayed messages floods in all at once,
and the world slowly, shakily gets back to a state of normal. But it leaves us with this incredibly sobering takeaway straight from our source material. Modern civilization depends on the internet far more than most people realize. It's a hugely humbling lesson, really. We've built this incredibly complex world that quite literally cannot function without this invisible web holding the whole shebang together.
And that really leaves us lingering on the fragility of our own digital reliance, doesn't it? So I've got to ask, could you survive an entire day with the internet? Like, really survive it? How would your daily life, your work, and even your own mind handle that kind of sudden silence? I really want to know your thoughts on this one. Drop a comment below this explainer, and hey, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating deep dives and thought-provoking breakdowns. Until next time, stay curious and, maybe keep a physical book handy, just in case.